You're not tired because you've lived too much. You're tired because you've felt too much. Because somewhere between growing up and surviving, you became too aware. You started noticing things. The fakeness in people's smiles, the emptiness in their victories, the noise that never seems to stop. You learned to read between the lines, to sense tension in rooms where others laugh. And slowly, something inside you aged. You look young. You still laugh sometimes. You still play along. But deep down, there's a stillness. The kind that only people who've seen too much carry. You're not lazy. You're not depressed. You're just mentally exhausted from carrying the weight of seeing reality for what it is. Most people your age still chase the next thrill, the next validation, the next distraction. You see through it. You've watched friends lose themselves to noise, to opinions, to endless scrolling, and you've quietly stepped back. Not because you don't care, but because you care too deeply. That kind of awareness costs you. Every overthought conversation, every silent night where your brain won't stop replaying the day, every realization that the world isn't built for people who feel this much. Marcus Aurelius knew that fatigue, a Roman emperor with the weight of an empire on his shoulders. Yet his journals weren't filled with power or glory. They were filled with exhaustion, reflection, and restraint. He wrote not to lead others, but to survive himself. He called it discipline. You'd call it burnout. But it's the same disease, awareness. This isn't about getting old. It's about waking up too soon in a world that still sleeps. And if you've ever felt that strange, invisible aging in your mind, then this is for you. Because by the end of this video, you'll understand why your soul feels ancient and how to carry that weight, not with pain, but with power. There comes a moment in every intelligent person's life when the world stops feeling exciting and starts feeling heavy. You begin to see the cracks, the way people pretend to care, the way society rewards noise over depth, appearance over truth. And suddenly, every conversation, every scrolling face, every hollow laugh starts to feel exhausting. You're not bored, you're burdened, because your mind refuses to stay blind. You see what others don't, and you can't unsee it. You see the lies people live just to keep themselves comfortable, the hypocrisy hidden behind their smiles, the endless hunger to be seen by people who never look. You see it all, and it ages you. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The closer a man gets to truth, the less he is entertained." And that's exactly what happened to you. The things that once thrilled you, gossip, ambition, chasing pleasure, now taste stale. You've grown allergic to superficiality. You've become too awake for small talk, too aware for blind faith, too analytical for simple happiness. And it's lonely, isn't it? Because the more you understand people, the harder it becomes to be around them. You smile, but your mind is elsewhere, watching the psychological theater unfold behind every gesture. You can predict their words, their motives, their next move. You see the patterns, and patterns kill surprise. Surprise is what keeps most people feeling alive. When that's gone, life feels ancient. That's the law of awareness, the one no one tells you about. Consciousness increases burden. The more awake you are, the heavier existence becomes. Because now, you're carrying not only your pain, but the pain of seeing everyone else trapped in illusions they think are freedom. You look at a crowd and realize they're not living, they're performing, running endlessly toward meaning they'll never find. And you, the one who sees through it, are cursed with the knowledge that none of it will ever fill them. That realization ages you faster than time. But understand this, what you feel isn't weakness, it's evolution. Most people die young, even at 80, because they never wake up. You, on the other hand, woke up early. You tore away the curtain before life allowed you to. You saw the machinery behind the illusion, and now you carry the weight of that awareness every single day. Marcus felt it too. The emperor of the world, yet he wrote like a man exhausted by consciousness, surrounded by luxury, yet speaking of restraint, commanding armies, yet warning himself not to care about applause. He was ancient in his mind, not because of years, but because of clarity. You are the same. Feeling old is not your flaw, it's your evidence. Evidence that your mind evolved faster than your circumstances, that you've crossed a threshold few ever reach. So, stop wishing to feel young again. That version of you was blind, naive, asleep. The world needs less youth and more awareness. You don't suffer from age, you suffer from vision. And vision, once earned, can never be unlearned. There's a price to knowing too much, too soon. It's not written in books. It's written in your body, in the sigh you exhale before speaking, in the way you no longer react to things that once lit you up. That's the cost of wisdom debt. You weren't born tired. You were trained into exhaustion. While others were allowed to play, you were busy decoding chaos, trying to understand people who were supposed to protect you, trying to fix what you never broke. You learned early that love could disappear without warning, that silence could mean danger, that peace was a luxury, not a right. So your brain did what it had to. It adapted. It grew up fast. You became the adult in the room. At 10, at 15, at 20. You built emotional muscles no one should need that young. And every act of forced maturity left a scar that never healed. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." You lived that truth before you could even name it. Every obstacle that crushed you shaped you. Every burden you weren't ready for gave you insight no book could teach. That's why you understand people so easily, why you sense tension before anyone speaks, why you can predict betrayal from tone alone. But here's the hidden tragedy. You paid for that wisdom with something sacred, your peace. You spent your childhood solving adult equations. And now, even in stillness, your mind keeps solving. Every moment, every face, every silence, analyzed, decoded, dissected. You can't rest because rest feels foreign. That's emotional burnout. But it's not from weakness, it's from overfunctioning. You were forced to become emotionally intelligent for survival, not for curiosity. And that kind of intelligence comes with a bill, a wisdom debt that never stops collecting. Look around. People who feel old for their age almost always share one trait. They had to grow up before they were ready. They became the listener, the fixer, the one who kept everything from falling apart. And while the world clapped for their maturity, no one noticed what it cost them. So now, when life slows down, when others are still chasing their dopamine highs, you sit quietly and feel the fatigue of 10 lifetimes pressing on your mind. Not because you're weak, but because you've been awake longer than most. Remember, pain is not just something you endure, it's something that transforms you. Every heartbreak you survived sharpened your perception. Every failure rewired your instincts. Every loss made you more alert, more controlled, more ancient. You've earned that wisdom, but like any currency, it came with debt. And that debt shows up as emotional fatigue, restlessness, and a kind of inner gravity that others mistake for sadness. Don't apologize for it. Don't try to feel young again. Youth is blindness. You've traded it for sight. You're not broken. You're simply early. You became what most people only become after life has beaten them for decades. You just got there faster. And that is not tragedy. That's mastery paid in pain. You've been told that youth is the peak of life, that it's where joy lives, where freedom begins, where everything is still possible. But that's a lie. Modern youth isn't freedom, it's stimulation, endless, empty stimulation. A generation scrolling itself into madness, a culture that confuses movement with meaning, attention with connection, and pleasure with peace. They call it youth. Marcus Aurelius would have called it slavery. He once warned, "Stop dancing to the tune of the crowd." But that's all modern youth has become, a crowd with no music, just noise. Every second, a new comparison. Every scroll, a new performance. People don't live anymore, they audition. You detach from that, and the world labeled you old. Because you stopped chasing what they still worship, distraction. They see your silence as sadness, your calm as emptiness. But what they don't understand is that peace feels boring to those still addicted to chaos. That's the irony. The more awake you become, the less entertained you are. And in a world that glorifies constant motion, stillness looks like death. But it's not death, it's evolution. The illusion of youth is this, that excitement means life, that overstimulation equals happiness, that to feel young, you must constantly chase something. Love, success, attention, dopamine, but you've already burned through those illusions. You've seen that every high collapses into emptiness, that every crowd eventually leaves you lonelier than silence ever could. So, you detached, you stopped pretending, and for that, the world punished you by calling you old. But being mentally 80 isn't decay, it's clarity. It means your soul is no longer fooled by glitter. It means your mind has matured past manipulation. You no longer mistake intensity for intimacy or noise for importance. You no longer chase what's shiny. You study what's real. That's why people your age can't understand you. You make them uncomfortable because your eyes don't sparkle with illusion. You see through things they still believe in. And no one likes the mirror that reflects their immaturity. The truth? You didn't lose your youth, you outgrew it. You peeled away the false excitement that others mistake for purpose. You learned that true freedom doesn't come from doing whatever you want, but from not needing to. You detach from the collective stupidity faster than most ever will. That's why you feel old. Not because your time is running out, but because your clarity came too soon. Law. Detachment looks like aging in a world addicted to distraction. So, wear that perception like armor. You haven't aged, you've awakened. And when the world finally tires itself out, it will come looking for the peace you already found. There's a kind of fatigue that doesn't come from overworking your body. It comes from overusing your heart. You know it. You felt it. That quiet exhaustion that settles in your chest after caring too much for too long. It's not laziness. It's not apathy. It's the natural burn of compassion, the cost of feeling everything. You've carried people who couldn't carry themselves. You've tried to fix what you didn't break. You've listened to pain that wasn't yours and made it your responsibility to heal it. And while that made you wise, it also made you old. Because empathy has a limit. Every time you absorb someone's sadness, your nervous system ages a little. It learns the pattern of pain and starts protecting itself. That's why you feel emotionally numb sometimes. Not because you don't care, but because your body is trying to survive caring. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." And you lived by that, didn't you? You tried to be good, to be kind, patient, understanding, even when it drained you. But here's the truth that no one tells good people. If you don't build boundaries, your compassion becomes self-destruction. You're not supposed to hold everyone's pain. You're supposed to witness it, understand it, and let it go. That's what Stoicism was always about. Not indifference, but discipline of emotion. To feel deeply, yet remain unmoved by what you can't control. When you absorb too much pain, your nervous system starts aging to survive it. That's not weakness, that's biology. Even empathy, when unrestrained, turns toxic. So, stop trying to save everyone. Stop mistaking exhaustion for virtue. You are allowed to detach. You are allowed to feel less. Because true compassion isn't about suffering with others. It's about staying strong enough to still help them. And sometimes, the kindest thing you can do for the world is to finally protect your own peace. At first, you think you're burning out. You stop wanting to talk. You stop wanting to explain. Even being around people starts to drain you. But this isn't hatred, it's metamorphosis. You're not disappearing because you've given up. You're disappearing because your mind has outgrown noise, the constant chatter of people, the endless debates, the shallow opinions. It all starts to sound the same. And your mind, once fiery and restless, now craves only one thing: silence. You used to fill that silence with everything you could: music, messages, meaningless motion, because silence scared you. Now it's the only place that feels honest. You begin to understand what Marcus Aurelius meant when he wrote his Meditations. Those pages weren't a performance. They were a man retreating inward, not to escape the world, but to reclaim command over his mind. He ruled millions, but his true empire was internal. Because every strong mind eventually realizes the world outside you can only be mastered after you master what's within. Most people never reach this stage. They mistake solitude for loneliness. They think withdrawal means weakness, but solitude is not decay. It's maintenance. Law, isolation is not emptiness, it's maintenance. Think of it like this. A warrior cleans his sword after battle, not because he's tired of fighting, but because he wants it sharp when it's needed again. Your mind works the same way. After years of absorbing chaos, overthinking, and carrying emotional weight, you retreat not to quit, but to repair. And yes, that retreat makes others uncomfortable. They'll call you distant, cold, detached. But the truth is, you've simply stopped broadcasting your energy to those who waste it. You're conserving it for precision. This disappearance is not decline, it's refinement. It's the mind realizing that peace is the highest form of intelligence. That silence is not absence, it's presence in its purest form. So, if you find yourself craving distance, don't apologize for it. You're not falling apart, you're sharpening in private. Because sometimes, the most powerful transformation is the one no one sees. There comes a point where exhaustion becomes awakening, where everything you've carried, awareness, pain, detachment, empathy, solitude, stops being weight and starts becoming armor. You've spent years thinking your fatigue meant something was wrong with you, that your calm was apathy, your silence was emptiness, your distance was decay. But now you see it clearly. None of it was weakness, it was refinement. Marcus Aurelius lived with that same quiet gravity. An emperor surrounded by chaos, yet his strength came not from control, but from his ability to remain untouched by it. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's what you become. Someone who no longer tries to control the storm, but has learned to stand still inside it. Every sleepless night, every disappointment, every silent withdrawal wasn't aging you. It was forging you. You have been philosophically forged, and while others chase the illusion of youth, you've earned something far rarer: inner stability. You see, youth fades. It always does. But awareness deepens. That's immortality. To see reality naked and still not flinch, that's what it means to have truly lived. You don't need to feel young again. You don't need to recover your old fire. Because the truth is, you didn't lose your fire. You turned it inward. You became the flame. You no longer crave approval. You no longer chase validation. You move through life with the serenity of someone who has already lived 100 times and has nothing left to prove. This is your rebirth. The rebirth of the old soul. The phase where you stop trying to heal into who you were and start becoming who you were meant to be. Your mind is no longer a battlefield. It's a kingdom. Your silence is no longer emptiness. It's command. Your detachment is no longer cold. It's control. You've seen enough to know that the world doesn't reward truth, but you no longer need its rewards. You've outgrown the game. And now, as Marcus would say, you live not to be remembered, but to understand, to act with purpose, to exist with grace. You are not tired, you are transformed. You are not old, you are awake. You are not young, you are not old, you are awake. And the awakened always age faster, not in their skin, but in their soul. Because once you've seen through the illusions that keep others entertained, you can't go back to pretending. You can't unhear the truth. This is the price of consciousness, clarity over comfort. But that price is also proof that you've evolved. So stop chasing lightness. Stop trying to feel young again. Lightness belongs to the untested. You've been tested. And that weight you feel isn't decay. It's depth. It's the weight of understanding. You've outgrown the noise, the small talk, the false urgency, the people who drain themselves to feel alive. You're done dancing to music that no longer moves you. And now you move differently, slower, quieter, but with intention. Because wisdom doesn't run. It walks through fire, steady and unbothered. Marcus Aurelius said, "It is not death that a man should fear, but never beginning to live. So live, not like the restless, but like the reborn. Live as someone who has already seen the end of every illusion and still chooses peace over noise, silence over spectacle, truth over comfort. You don't owe the world your energy anymore. You owe it your clarity. And clarity is earned through solitude, pain, and the courage to stop pretending. So when they call you distant, stoic, or cold, smile. You've simply outgrown what keeps them asleep. You are not escaping life. You are finally living it.